Hi guys, good day to everyone. For today's video, I will be discussing to you one of the important things na pwedeng gawin ng mga researchers natin bago sila mag-finalize ng kanilang research title or ng kanilang research manuscript. Ito yung tinatawag natin na tabular of review of related literature. In other terms, tinatawag din to as systematic literature review. And to start our discussion regarding on how to make tabular, allow me to share my screen to you. Okay, so technically, I have here a reference materials regarding how to create a tabular of review of related literature. But before we proceed on discussing the definition of review of related literature, allow me first to illiterate ano ba yung mga importance or mga benefits na pwedeng maibigay sa atin ng paggagawa ng tabular of review of related literature. Number one, ang paggagawa ng review of related literature, I mean tabular for review of related literature is malaking tulong sa mga researchers natin when it comes to number one, finalization of their chosen topic. No? There are some instances kasi na yung mga topic na naisip natin is baka ba duplication na lang or replication na lang ng mga existing studies na sa internet. So para maiwasan natin yung mga replication and duplication, we could create tabular. Number two is that pwede natin itong maging basis sa mga technical aspect ng research paper natin. For example, when it comes to sino ba yung magiging respondents natin, anong methodology yung pwedeng gamitin, anong research instrument ang pwede natin gamitin. And the number three is that tabular will serve as our database. Kasi kapag nagawa tayo ng tabular, yung ating review of related literature, pwedeng dito na rin natin kuhanin. Pwedeng dito na natin i-pattern yung ating review of related literature. So, maraming benefits ang pwede nating makuha aside from the three things that I have discussed. Okay? But anyway, to start our discussion regarding tabular, let us first define ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng tabular. Pag sinabi natin tabular of review of related literature, this is the process by which the researchers are systematically presenting different information coming from various studies that are related or relevant to their research paper. Ang pinagkaiba lang dito is that the information are being presented in a table format, no? And kapag naka-table format yung ating tabular, mas madali nating na-analyze yung mga data. Hindi ito narrative review. It is presented in a table format. Okay, for example, the use of tabular allows the researchers technically to summarize essential information or important information about the study. Specifically, sino ba yung author, anong year siya na-publish, and then anong research methods ang ginamit, anong objectives ng study na yon, ano yung na-discover nila, and then ano yung relevance, for example, na existing studies na yon dun sa present study na gusto mong pag-aralan. So by simply creating tabular, nagkakaroon tayo ng mas maliwanag, no, na point of view regarding doon sa research landscape na pinag-aaralan natin. At nagkakaroon din tayo ng specific areas kung saan dapat natin i-focus yung ating investigation. Okay? So this is the definition of tabular. Ngayon, ano ba yung key components ng tabular? Take note, these key components is not universal. Pwede itong magbago. Depende sa format na ipapagamit ng inyong institution or depende sa format na ipapagamit ng inyong instructor. But in a coconut shell, ito yung usually components ng tabular. No? Obviously, dapat nandyan yung author at yung taon kung kailan siya na-publish. And then, ano yung research title ng study na nakuha mo? Ano yung research objectives? Bakit nila pinag-aralan? Ano yung goal ng bawat study? Bakit nila gustong pag-aralan or bakit nila pinag-aralan yung study na yun? Okay? And then, ano yung methodology na ginamit ng mga researchers? For example, quantitative, qualitative, anong research instrument ang ginamit? Survey ba? Focus group discussion ba? Interview ba? Document analysis ba? Then yung pinakamahalaga sa lahat na na components ng tabular natin is yung tinatawag na key findings. Ano yung na-discover ng mga ah, researchers na to doon sa kanilang ginawang pag-aaral. And how these key findings are related or relevant to your present study. Kasi kapag nakita mo yung study ng mga past researchers, obviously makikita mo na agad whether this study is relevant or related on the present study that you are studying. And at the same time, pwede rin kayong maglagay ng column, but this is an optional, yung tinatawag natin na gaps or limitation. After analyzing this particular literature or this article, anong gap ang nakita mo? Anong limitation ang nakita mo on that particular study? But this is optional, no? Pero sa amin, pinalalagay namin to para at least kahit pa paano, maliwanag na agad since nag-annotate ka na din naman, nag-analyze ka na din naman ng mga literature. So technically, pwede mo nang ma-identify kung ano yung limitation ng study niya. Okay? And kapag ipe-present na natin siya in a tabular format, ito yung magiging itsura niya. No? So, ito na yung magiging itsura ng ating tabular. Take note, if you are aiming for paper publication, after mong magawa yung paper mo, you have to make sure na dapat yung mga articles or yung mga literature na ilalagay mo sa tabular is recent, no? Kumbaga, 5 years, no? Kung 5 years, dapat 2019 yung pinakaluma mong studies or article. Pero kung ang purpose naman ay for research only, merong ibang mga institution na kahit 10 years na yung study, considered as valid pa din sa kanila. Pero if you're aiming, katulad nga na nasabi ko sa inyo, if you are aiming for paper publications, maraming mga uh, publication ang hinahanap na dapat yung kanilang review of related literature or yung mga nakalagay, nakasite ng mga studies sa study na pinag-aaralan nyo or sa study na ginawa ninyo ay 5 years lang. Okay? So ngayon, dito sa example na ipapakita ko sa inyo, I have here 15 studies. 15 studies lang yung ginawa ko, but in other institution, kapag pag nagpapagawa sila ng tabular, minsan hindi lang 15 studies. Minsan 20, 25, 30, 50. So it depends on the instructions of your professor on that particular subject. But in this example, I will just be presenting to you 15 studies that were conducted from 2019 up to present time. And yung focus ng mga studies na to is may kinalaman sa the needs of teachers in the Philippines. So technically siguro ang topic ng tabular na to or ng mga researchers na gumawa ng tabular nito is that they want to know ano ba yung mga pangangailangan ng mga teachers when it comes to providing quality education to our students. And it is very important for us na malaman natin at ma-address natin ano ba yung pangangailangan ng mga teachers when it comes to providing quality education. Okay? So this is the visual representation or the tabular representation of their RRL. Obviously, we have here the authors and year. We also have here the title of the study, the research objectives, the methodology, okay, the key findings, the gaps or limitations, and the relevance of this literature to their present study. Okay? O di kaya naman, ano yung relevance ng study itself na napag-aralan nila. So, tingnan natin to. The first literature that they have on their tabular was a study conducted by Santos year 2019. Mas okay siguro kung full name muna yung ilagay ninyo, pero pwede rin naman ang last name na dahil kapag nagawa naman kayo ng citation sa references, ng citation sa inyong manuscript, last name lang naman ang inilalagay. Doon na lang sa references ilalagay yung full name, doon na lang sa bibliography ilalagay yung full name ng author. So, ito yung author. The first study was conducted by Santos 2019. Ano yung title ng study? Challenges faced by the Filipino teachers in rural schools. Ano yung naging objectives ng study na to? To identify challenges faced by the teachers in the rural areas. Take note ha, when you do your tabular, hindi mo kailangang i-copy verbatimly yung mga statement na nandoon sa reference na pinagtitingnan mo. You have to rephrase it using your own words para maiwasan din natin yung uh, copy-pasting and maiwasan din yung pagtaas ng similarity index ng paper ninyo. Take note, after you did your paper, kailangan ma-check ang similarity index. At kung ika-copy-paste mo lang din yung same statement doon sa pinagkuhanan mo na reference, pag ipinasok yan sa Turnitin, for instance, mataas ang magiging similarity index ng paper ninyo. Baka yun pa ang maging dahilan para mag-ulit kayo ng paper. So para maiwasan yun, dapat dito pa lamang sa tabular, nire-replace na ninyo yung mga statement. Okay? Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, napaka-uunti na lang ng mga information kasi they just focus on the most essential ideas coming from the references that they have. Okay? Ano yung methodology na ginamit? They utilize qualitative case study. Okay din siguro kung dito ilagay nyo na din kung anong instrument ang ginamit. Halimbawa, qualitative case study, then under that, gumamit sila ng interview o kaya naman focus group discussion. Then ano yung naging key findings ng kanilang study? Teachers in rural areas lack basic resources including classroom materials and training. So ito yung na-discover nila. So ano yung gaps ng study na to? Technically, the focus of the study is on rural areas. Meaning to say, they cannot generalize the data of their study in the whole context of teachers sa buong Pilipinas. Kasi nasa rural lang naman sila. Paano yung mga nasa urban places? Parehas pa rin kaya sila na magiging key findings. Kaya ito yung naging limitation ng study ni Santos 2019. Then ano yung relevance ng study na to? It highlights the lack of resources in rural schools relevant to understanding broader challenges faced by the teachers or by the Filipino teachers. So ito yung naging relevance ng study na ginawa ni Santos 2019. That's it. Di ba napakasimple lang? And then, tingnan natin yung second study or second article. This is a study conducted by De La Cruz and Reyes 2019. Ang study is all about teacher retention and job satisfaction in the Philippine public schools. And then ano yung objectives nila? To examine factors affecting teachers' retention and job satisfaction. Anong methodology ang ginamit? They use quantitative methodology. Anong type of instrument? They use survey for 500 public school teachers. So nakalagay kung anong instrument ang ginamit. And then, ano yung kanilang key findings? Teachers' retention linked to administrative support and professional development opportunities. So ito yung na-discover nila. Na for the teacher to stay and to have high job satisfaction, administration should support and provide professional development sa mga teachers. Okay? Ano yung limitation ng study? The study was limited only on the teachers or on the public school teachers sa Metro Manila. So they cannot generalize as well the findings of the study para dun sa ibang mga places kasi Metro Manila lang ang naging focus nila. Ano yung relevance ng study? It is relevant for the purpose of understanding the retention regarding the factors that contribute to the well-being of the teachers, particularly the job satisfaction and retention. Second study is yung study ni Lopez et al. 2020. Ano yung study? Professional development needs of Filipino teachers, a national survey. This one. And then, ano yung kanilang objective? To explore professional development needs across different regions. So, malaki ang naging scope ng study nila kasi different regions and it is a national survey. Ano yung methodology na ginamit? They utilize mixed method, so the combination of qualitative and quantitative. Anong instrument for quantitative? They use survey. Anong instrument ang ginamit for quali? They use focus group discussion. Ano yung naging findings ng study? Teachers require more ICT training and subject-specific content workshop. So, ibig sabihin, based on a national survey regarding the needs of the teachers are asking for ICT training, the integration of technology in teaching and learning process, as well as workshop regarding subject-specific content on how they can possibly or on how they can effectively deliver their instruction to the students. Okay? Ano yung kanilang limitation? Hindi na pag-aralan ng study na to kung ano yung pwedeng maging long-term impacts ng training sa mga teachers. Pero ano yung relevance niya? It provides insight, specific professional development needs, aligning with the study's focus, which is teachers' improvement. That's it. Okay? And then you just repeat the process hanggang sa matapos mo yung bilang ng literature or articles na pinagagawa ng teacher mo sa'yo. So I have here another study, the study of Garcia. I have here the study of Morales, Bautista et al. 2021, Cruz and Salcedo 2021, Mendoza and Sarmiento 2021, then Fernandez 2022, as well as I also have here the study of Aquino and Pascual 2022. I also have here the study that was conducted by Villanueva and Ramos 2022, Garcia et al. 2023, Rivera 2023, Santos and Del Rosario 2023, and lastly, yung study ni De La Rosa and Marquez 2024. So technically, ang content ng ating tabular, pwede siyang mabawasan, pwede siyang madagdagan depending on the number of articles, literature, study, thesis, and dissertation na ipapa-analyze sa inyo ng inyong research instructor or ng inyong research teacher. Okay po, but technically, this is how we present our tabular, presenting the 15 studies that were conducted from the year 2019-2024, focusing on the needs of teachers in the Philippine educational system. Okay po. And ngayon, so meron ka ng tabular. Ano ngayon yung pwede mong gawin after you make tabular? Ganito yung pinagagawa ko no, sa mga students ko. But this is optional na lang kung gusto niyo siyang gawin. After namin gawin yung tabular, sa pinakababa ng tabular, ipinapakategorize ko yung mga tabular into teams. Or pinapagawa ko, pinapakategorize ko yung mga literature na tabular na ginawa ng bata. Yung mga articles na nasa tabular, yung mga studies na nasa tabular, pinapat-categorize ko siya into teams or subtitles. Meaning to say, for example, sino-sino yung mga studies na ang naging focus of discussion is may kinalaman sa teaching workload. Pagsamasamahin natin sila. So, sino-sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay may kinalaman sa professional development and training needs. Pagsamasamahin natin sila. Sino-sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay may kinalaman sa work-life balance and job satisfaction. Pagsamasamahin natin sila. Sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay system or support system and teacher retention? Sino yung may kinalaman sa technology and teaching during pandemic? Sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay teacher burnout and coping mechanism? Sino yung mga studies na may kinalaman sa teacher attribution and retention? Multigrade teaching and inclusive education. Pinagagawa ko yan sa mga bata or pinasisimulan ko yung gawin sa mga bata. Bakit? No, bakit sir? For what purpose? Para kapag nagawa sila ng review of related literature, ito na yung magiging content ng kanilang review of related literature. Kumbaga, we are hitting two birds in one stone. Nakakagawa kami ng maayos na research paper based on the identified research gap dun sa mga tabular. And at the same time, nagkakaroon kami ng working chapter number 2. So, ipinapakompose ko yon into paragraph statement. Yung content noong mga articles na magkakatulad, ipinapakompose ko siya into paragraph statement. So, for example, this one, challenges in teaching workload. Sino-sino yung mga author na ito yung nagiging focus? Sige nga, i-compose nyo siya into paragraph. Okay? Then, sino-sino yung mga teachers na ang focus or sino-sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay may kinalaman sa professional development and training needs? I-compose mo siya into paragraph. So, yan. Ngayon, kapag nagawa ka ng review of related literature mo or yung chapter number 2 mo, the only thing that you have to do is to expand the definition, expand the explanation of this paragraph. Pwedeng dagdagan mo siya ng mga explanation, dagdagan mo siya ng mga justifications, ano yung relevance niya, blah, blah, blah. So, hindi ka na ngayon magliligaw sa chapter number 2 mo kasi number 1, you already have the sub-themes or the subtitles for your chapter number 2, which is aligned on your chosen problem. The number 2, meron ka ng mga articles na gagamitin. Number 3, meron ka ng mga sub-themes or subtitles na ipapasok on your chapter number 2. The only thing that you have to do is to expand, no, the explanation of these paragraphs. Okay po. And then of course, for the purpose of checking and verification, wag natin kalilimutan ang ating references. References should be composed or should be formatted in APA 7th edition. So ito yung mga references noong 15 articles na nilagay ko sa tabular, and at the same time, yung mga articles na kinumpose ko into paragraph. Take note ha, itong mga articles na to na nakaparagraph, ito din yung nasa tabular na meron po tayo sa itaas. Okay? So there you go. Ito yung references. Ngayon, minsan, nagpapagawa ako ng separate sheet sa mga bata. Ito ay for your own copy na lang, for your own benefit and for your own for your own what they call this benefit nga. Yung tinatawag na breakdown of observation and analysis. Ano yung nilalagay? For example, base dun sa 15 RRL na ginawa mo, tingnan mo yung methodology na ginamit nila. Ilang studies ang gumamit ng qualitative? Ilang studies ang gumamit ng quantitative? Ilang studies ang gumamit ng mixed method? Then sa baba, lagyan mo ng legend. So, ay sino-sino pala yung mga studies na gumamit ng qualitative? Sino-sino yung mga studies na gumamit ng quanti? Sino-sino yung gumamit ng mixed method? Then sa baba, lagyan mo ng percentage. So, 8 ang gumamit ng qualitative, 3 ang gumamit ng quanti, then 3 ang gumamit ng mixed method. For what purpose, sir? Para kapag nag-decide ka ng methodology, meron kang basis. Okay. Doon sa 15 article na ginawa ko doon sa aking tabular, majority of them utilizes qualitative. So meron ka na agad nakitang research gap. Merong gap when it comes to the utilization of quantitative and mixed method. So kapag nagawa ka ng methodology mo, ng chapter number 3 mo, kung saan nakalagay yung methodology part ng paper mo, pwede mong i-adapt yung paggamit ng quantitative and mixed method on your present study. Kapag tinanong ka ng panelist mo, why? Madali na siyang i-justify. Because po, based on the tabular na ginawa po namin, we make a tabular for 15 studies, medyo kukunti pa talaga yon. Only 21% of these 15 articles ang gumamit na quantitative and mixed method. So that's the reason why we utilize mixed method. Okay, that's it. And after that, i-categorize mo sila into teams, no? Halimbawa, sino-sino yung mga studies na ang focus ay ito, ang focus ay ito, ang focus ay ito, ang focus ay ito, ang focus ay ito. So, kung mapapansin niyo, umunti na lang yung teams natin, no? Kasi, pwede yung pagsama-sama, di ba, nakagawa. Kung mapapansin niyo, meron tayong teams na madami din sa itaas, yung nakaparagraph. Pwede nyo pa kasi i-condense yun. Pwede nyo pang pagsama-samahin yung mga teams na interrelated or interconnected para makakreate ka lamang sa mas limited na subtitle. So kanina ang dami, di ba? Pero nung ginawan ko na siya ng percentage, I just come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 na lang. So, merong studies na nakafocus sa professional development, merong 2 studies na nakafocus sa challenges, merong 3 studies na nakafocus sa teachers burnout and work balance, merong 6 study na nakafocus sa technology and remote learning, and then meron 3 studies na nakafocus sa teacher retention and support. So ngayon, kapag nagawa ka ngayon ng specific format, ay specific scope ng study mo, pwedeng mag-focus ka na lang not in all needs of the teachers, pero pwedeng ang maging focus na lang ng study mo ay ano ang pwedeng maging implications ng kakulangan ng knowledge ng teachers when it comes to technology when teaching in remote learning or when teaching in remote places or when handling remote learning. Di ba ang ganda na no? Nakaisip ka na agad na magandang study na what might be the implication of lack of knowledge in ICT integration when teaching in remote places or when teaching remote learning. Diba? Ang ganda ng studies na yun. Okay? So yan, meron ka din ditong quantitative presentation of the teams. And after that, ito naman, additional na lang, ilang studies ang kinonduct after pandemic? So, merong 5. Okay po. And then, when it comes to respondents, to maganda rin to. Ah, merong 7 studies ng respondent ay teachers in general. Walang ibinigay na description kung public, private, junior high school, senior high school, elementary, or college, basta teachers in general. Merong 6 na studies na ang focus ay public school teachers. Isang study lang sa private school teachers. Then, when it comes to urban and rural, 2 studies ang kinonduct when it comes to urban and rural. 2 sa urban, 2 sa rural. Ngayon, pag nagawa ka ng studies mo, meron ka ng specific na respondents. Alamin mo ano ang effects ng kakulangan ng knowledge ng mga teacher when it comes to technology in remote learning na ang respondents ay mga teachers sa private schools. Diba? Ang ganda, nagiging malinaw na yung takbo ng study mo. Then sa lokale, ito naman, pwedeng i-consider mo dito, pero optional na lang. Saan mo siya pwedeng i-conduct? So meron daw 7 studies na national, may 3 studies na Metro Manila, meron 3 studies na Visayas, meron 3 studies na sa Luzon, meron 3 studies na Visayas and Mindanao. So when it comes to lokale, optional na lang ito. It depends on your discussions na with your group mates and with your families and consultant. Okay po? Then sa instrument, ito pwede mo rin itong tingnan. Meron daw studies na gumamit ng, ito yung mga studies na gumamit ng survey questionnaire, ito yung gumamit ng interviews, ito yung gumamit ng focus group discussions, ito yung gumamit ng document analysis, ito yung gumamit ng mixed method. Then tingnan mo yung percentage. So since mixed method na yung nakuha mong methodology, 2 studies lang ang gumamit ng focus group discussion. So ngayon, pwede kang mag-conduct ng focus group discussion and then adapt ka na lamang ng sampling technique for your quantitative. Okay po. So it's your option na napumili kung ano yung gagamitin mo na sampling technique. So technically, kapag napagsama-sama mo yung mga nakita mong gap, magkakaroon ka na ng maayos at maganda na research paper. And when you explain that to your panelists, madali na lang siyang i-defend, madali na lang siyang i-explain. Kasi you have the explanations para sa lahat. You have the evidences para sa lahat. You have the support sa lahat ng parts ng paper mo. And kapag nagawa ka ng part ng manuscript mo, smooth sailing na lang ang paggagawa ng research paper na. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening, my dear researchers. I hope and pray na sana lahat tayo ay makapag-create ng sound, effective, useful, and solution-based sa mga research paper po. Okay? So thank you for listening. Once again, God bless and goodbye.